afternoon, everyone. We're
Hey. Hey.
Hey, you guys know me, Amy, here with Sandy and Russell, and our guest today is Al. So everyone, no, I already said hi. Just say hi again.
I'm sorry that we didn't start at 10 o'clock. I had court this morning. I drove all the way to Fort Bend County for court, and the district attorney was gone.
Oh, man.
So I spent 5 minutes on a reset.
Oh, wow. So we could have gone with 11 o'clock this morning, maybe, or
We
something.
could have done 10. I could have done it from the car.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah, I would have definitely had to take a shower earlier if we had them. So,
or from the courthouse. We all would hope that you would take a shower.
Yes. But I mean, I was actually, thank you, Russell. I actually had to go to I went to the hospital this morning to get blood work done. So that's all done. I'm caught up on everything with my doctor. Oh my gosh. Thank you. So did anybody do anything exciting? Al, just being on the weekends, he lives on South Padre. So,
oh, you do?
So what's it like on South Padre on the weekends right now, Al?
Well, living down here after living over 40 years in Houston, I feel like I moved to a foreign country.
I bet you do. Is that good or bad?
Well, it depends on whether you like people who talk Spanish, and you wish you could, because there's about 98% of them talk Spanish, and a few of them talk English. That's a big exaggeration. A lot of bilingual people here.
Well, that's good. Are you planning to do anything like be bilingual or anything?
No, I'm not about to start studying Spanish. I don't. I got other things to do besides that.
Okay.
I'll use Google Translator.
So we'll talk about how you've lived in different parts of the country when we do your part of the interview, Al. So because he's originally from Minnesota.
There you go.
Up in Houston, and now he's in South Padre. Wow. I hope my life lets me end up either in downtown Houston or South Padre. Either one or both. No, both.
You can both.
I want both. Yes, I want both. I want a house on the beach and a house and an apartment, not a house, an apartment in downtown Houston. So
better accumulate a little money if you're going to live on Padre.
Well, or downtown. Either one of those means money. Yes. So, Al, there's a bookstore on South Padre. Have you visited the bookstore?
No, I haven't.
It's a great bookstore.
What's the name of the bookstore?
Paragraphs.
Oh,
and why do you know so much about it?
Well, because our client, David Tannenbaum, lived on South Padre, and they're the ones that actually kind of discovered his books. And then the guy that owns it loves authors. So he's always open to having events there for authors. I've been knowing him and about him. I've never met him, but I've had lots of calls with him with different clients over the years. So
we should have him on Author Talk.
Well, that is a great idea. I'm sure he would. I'll give him a call. First, I'll find out, remember his name, but
I'm laughing because I identify with that, not because I'm laughing.
I know. I knew why you were laughing. Yes. I just have to go back and look to see what his name was. But hey, I remembered Paragraphs. That's miraculous these days. So, Aimee, what's going on with you and Josh? Did you do anything fun this weekend, or did you work all weekend?
No, I sent my college student back to college today.
Woo! Yay!
I know. I'm so excited.
Congratulations. I know that's a relief.
It is. I mean, I love him to death, but I'm just so excited. It's his senior year too, which is great. So I'm just excited. And he's already there.
So when does he graduate? Next spring or like May?
He should graduate this coming spring in May. Unless he has to push back his graduation date. So fingers crossed that we don't have to do that and graduates and make me happy.
Tell everybody again what he's getting his degree in.
He's getting his degree in chemical engineering at the University of UH. So he is in his senior year. I'm very excited about it.
Yay, I know how exciting it was because remember last weekend I was in San Marcos for the Texas State graduation for my granddaughter. So, yay, love all these graduations.
My granddaughter just started Baylor this week.
Oh, wow. That's a biggie.
That's awesome.
The youngest of 6.
Wow.
Yay, congratulations.
That's awesome.
So tonight is our online course every Monday night, 7 p.m. Al, I'd love to have you visit us if you want. I'll give you the link. So it'll be a Zoom link just like this. So now that you know how to use Zoom, you can get right on. So I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
If you want to join us, I would love to have you. Tonight we're talking about why write a press release, when to write a press release, especially, so these courses are all designed for authors. So if you're a company, there's lots of reasons for writing a press release. If you're an author, there's still a lot of reasons. It's just a little bit different twist because typically you're not bringing on a new employee or launching a new product or any of the things that a company might do. We actually had a great thing to do a press release about for Perceptive PR.
Congratulations, Sandy.
Thank you. I mean, this was like, all of a sudden I get this email that says, congratulations. You've been selected to be, it's one of those things like, before I shared it with anybody, I went to make sure there really was a link and there really was a place where our name was mentioned and all of that. Didn't want to fall for some scam or something, but we were named in the top 20 PR firms in the city of Houston. So yay. So congratulations to my team, to my clients who are a huge part of it, and to our membership group because they're an even bigger, more widespread group. So yay. It's a
Sandy, can I ask you a question about that, which
Sure.
will kind of highlight some of the things that you and Aimee talk about? Do you think one of the reasons you got that award was because of your online presence?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. It definitely wasn't for the amount of revenue we made this year because it's not been one of our. It just honestly hasn't been.
You wish it was because of that.
Oh
right?
man, I want to
do it for the money. We don't do it.
We don't do it for the money. We would like to announce. We would like to celebrate the money, but that won't make us change anything because we really do love working with our clients. We love our.
So it was your online presence, you think, too?
Well, when I looked over the article about it, yes, absolutely. Definitely it's what it was, because how else would they have even known about me, first of all? Because I'm not familiar with that organization or that magazine or any, it is a magazine. I'm not familiar with it. So when I looked it all over, I'm like, wow. Now, when they nominated me to be, or when they announced that I was number 20 in the top 25 PR social media influencers, it was because of my clout score, which at that time, clout included, all your different social media scores kind of compiled and averaged. But they don't do that anymore because somebody bought clout and they decided they weren't going to do that, because Aimee and I tried to figure that out.
I know, because I was like, I want to be on that
list. I know, we wanted Aimee to get there.
So keep on it. I don't know how to get on that list.
There's an algorithm. There's always an algorithm, right, Russell?
Okay, I do have to ask you one more question. It's very important. Did you do a press release yet?
That's what I was saying. We have to do a press release.
You've got to do it before tonight, because I'm going to really get you. Because you're teaching tonight about when
I know what I'm teaching. Okay.
Don't frustrate her, Russell.
It's going to be crazy tonight.
This has been the craziest Monday.
You're not allowed on, Russell. We're going to ban you from being on tonight.
I'm gonna actually create a little sign. I'm gonna hold it up.
Aimee, when you see tonight that Russell wants to enter, you know what to do, right?
Okay, I want everyone that's watching to make comments below if they think that she needs to go ahead and do it before she teaches a course on when to do it tonight.
Oh,
please make a comment below.
Okay, let me just say it. It ain't going.
I like that she's all honest.
I've got to finish the presentation for tonight, send out the emails about tonight. No, I am not stopping to write a press release for me. I would stop to write a press release for you, Russell, not me. So
I'd have to finish a book before you could do that.
Well, duh.
You know what struck me, Sandy, is that, since I talked with you some years ago, I've had to learn that to be an author is not enough. You have to be a marketer as well. And that really for a long time bugged me quite a bit, because I said, I'm not in the marketing business. I'm trying to be an author, writer, and all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden I get it hit wherever I go. My publisher says the same thing. They put out a big long webinars on it and all that kind of stuff. And they had me start a blog, and I do enjoy doing that. But
you do a great blog. You do a great blog. And
so that's something authors are struggling with, I'm sure.
It is, and that's what one of our clients now, Sue Hawley, who has a series of cozy mystery books, said there's this nasty little secret that nobody tells you about until after you've written the book, and then you find out, oh, I'm just getting started. I'm not nearly done. So, and Al, because when you and I worked together, which was really about 17 years ago, so we did a lot about your book, and we didn't get very far with a lot of the marketing stuff. There was always been a challenge with marketing a book because there's so many, and that was 17 years ago. So you can imagine now even more. And you have 3 books now, right, Al?
Yeah, there's a series.
So, Al, the first book you wrote was called The Twisted Bridge. And that was about Spiral Bridge. Yes, I'm sorry, Spiral Bridge.
Right.
So Russell has pictures of your images, and we'll go ahead and show those. But the first book he wrote was called The Twisted Bridge.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's an actual picture of an actual bridge.
Yes. And so
where is it? Because I want to go to it.
Well, you only find a model of it now, but it used to exist until 1950 something. The bank on this side of the Mississippi River was lower than it was on the other side. And since the primary people who were going over that bridge were horse-drawn carts, they couldn't make a steep incline in order to get up to as high as they needed to. So they did a spiral. And that's how they went around like that and finally got to the other side of the bridge. This was back in the 1930s.
Isn't that interesting to look at that bridge? Because I've never seen a spiral bridge before. And so now you're saying because we have autos and all this power, now it just goes up and over then. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's just a long incline to get over the river now. But it's automobile and truck traffic now. When it was first built, it was animal haul and carts and stuff like that.
So what part of Minnesota was that?
That's south of the Twin Cities.
Okay.
About 15 miles. Down the river in near a town called Hastings.
Hastings, that's right. Hastings, Minnesota.
Yeah.
So you only had the one book when you and I were working together, and
right.
You went on to write the others. So you had already moved to Houston when I met you.
Oh, yeah. I moved to Houston in 1971 because I started the church there at that time.
So you were a Lutheran pastor. So
right.
Kathy Helweisen, if you're listening, one of our clients and one of our team members is also a Lutheran pastor. And I realized until working with her that there's more than one type of Lutheran church. So, and she's with the ECLA, is that right? Is that the
Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, ELCA.
ELCA, okay, got it. Is that the group you were with?
No, I was with the Missouri Synod.
Okay, got it.
I was in Missouri Synod too.
Were you really? So that was Dallas Lewis. We had another client. We've had all kind of clients that are Lutheran church members, pastors. And so I remember that. And you were at so a story about Al that I have a friend who was a member of his church. And then I was working with the person he was going to marry. So they invited me to their wedding. She was Catholic, he was Lutheran. And so they got married in the Lutheran church, and Al Franzmeier was the pastor that was residing. That's long before I worked with him. Then several years later, when I had left my job and was working with authors, and I'm like, your name, his name was so familiar. When I did the research, I'm like, oh my gosh, he was the pastor that married my two friends. So do you remember that, Al? Do you remember?
I was in the Woodlands at that time.
Right. That was Chris and Marianne that you performed the wedding for them. Yeah. Wow. It was just like, wow, what a coincidence. So anyway, so that was awesome. So what was it? Why did you decide you're going to write a book called The Twisted Bridge?
Well,
the Spiral Bridge. I'm determined this is a twisted bridge.
I was a pastor, and that's a full-time job, and more than that, working 60 to 70 hours a week. I never felt I had time to just sit down and try to learn to write a novel, but I always wanted to do something about that. So when I finally reached to the point where I felt it was time to retire from the full-time pastoral ministry, I went to a friend, Crystal, and I said, Crystal, can you help me out? I want to get started in doing this. And she piled a whole bunch of books upon me. And I said, what shall I write? And she said, write about what you know. I said, well, what did I know? And I dug back and I said, well, the only thing I really know is my own life. And so I started by going back to the Depression era when I was a little child. And I used my family at that point as a resource to dig up characters. And that's how it all got started.
So your book was based on your family as far as the characters?
Yeah, see, I grew up not too far, about 9 miles to the west of Hastings, Minnesota, near the Mississippi River, south of the Twin Cities, on a farm.
So you were familiar with the Spiral Bridge then?
I was familiar with it. I'd gone over the Spiral Bridge many times already, when it was still a spiral bridge, when I was a little boy.
And then after we worked together for a few months, and then he went on his way and I went on mine. Like he said, he didn't know there was a lot to do for marketing. And that was back before Facebook and all of this was available. So when did you write the next 2 books, Al?
Well, I finished that one, and I came to realize, that the story certainly isn't over. And I thought, well, I want to follow up on this. And I also heard again and again, not being kind of a novice in this matter, that it works best if you've more than one book. If you've got a series, that makes a big difference. You can follow the characters from one to the next. And so I set off to write the second one. This time the setting was not out in the country, but it was set in St. Paul itself. And so I followed my characters all the way through.
What was the name of the second book?
It's called The Twins. And there you go. It starts out in a cold February time when one of my favorite little characters, a book with, a young child with intellectual disabilities, is stealing coal from a coal yard in St. Paul so he and his mother can keep warm in a kind of a second-story room around there. And he discovers a couple of frozen young women under the snow next to that coal yard that was for the trains. And they were obviously twins. And that's how it begins. And that's why the cover's got a blizzard after a while going on there.
Well, that's an interesting play on things because St. Paul is one of the Twin Cities, right?
Yeah, they're called the Twin Cities.
So these twins were found in the Twin Cities. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
That's interesting. And so the same character, the little boy that had disabilities.
Yes.
He was also in the first one, right?
Right. His name's Orville.
Is he in the third one?
He's in the third one.
Okay. And the third one is Freya's child. So what's the story about that one?
Freya's child,
Freya's child.
is now, we pick up on the German Nazi connection to Minnesota. And if you look at the cover, you can see that there's a globe on one side, and then the other side, you see the swastika.
I see that in the background, yes.
A little child is holding it. If you look in the background, you can see German or Nazi soldiers standing there watching, and a swastika floating in the air.
So who is Freya?
Well, you know, it's one of the Nordic gods.
Oh, okay. I did not realize that.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
You realize that all the days of the week are named after Nordic gods.
No, I did not realize that.
Tio is Tuesday, and Woden is the primary god. That's Woden's day. And Thursday is Donnerstag, Thursday, and then comes Freya's day. Freya, that's Friday.
So which day is Odin's day?
Wednesday.
Okay. Wednesday. Okay.
He says that like you should know that, Sandy.
I know he did. I'm like, okay, I missed that one. Because the reason I wanted to know specifically is because that's my husband's favorite character is Odin. So everything we have around here, passwords Odin, this, Odin, that. So
is the Chihuahua named Odin?
No. The Chihuahua is named after Schrodinger. Remember, Schrodinger is the quantum physics dude. So
yeah,
we'll talk about that another time.
Schrodinger's cat, though.
It was a cat. Yes, his was a cat. And so we have Schrodinger's dog. We call him Dinger. So 3 books. And now, Al, we talked, you got back in touch with me after all these years because why?
Well, a lot of people have read my books and said, you know, this should be a series on television. And I thought, well, I'm having a hard enough time marketing books, let alone trying to get on television yet, you know. But I wondered, you know, how to do that. And that's why I contacted you.
Which is very interesting that at the time that you and I first talked, I'm like, I'll do some research, but it's not my field, and I don't really know anybody. Well, lo and behold, I go to Dallas to this author event, and now a person who is a screenwriter is in our class, our press release class. So She lives in Fort Hood. She's always written screenplays. Now she's in the process of taking her screenplays and making them into novels. So she's going the opposite.
The other way, yeah.
And I have already mentioned you to her and told her that we had some questions, and I think she'd be very happy to talk to you and give you all kind of ideas or let you know where you need to start or what the process would be. So we'll make that introduction. So,
yeah,
and if you
not into screenplays, I have never done anything like that. You know?
I know, but somebody has to do that for you before you to pitch it. So. And then pitching is going to be the next thing. But, you know, there could come some press releases about the process and the progress. So, that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. Like, if you don't have anything going on, Russell, about your book, and you're not quite ready to launch the next book, then what can you be doing press releases about? You'll have to be there tonight to find out, Russell. So. Yeah. Because the big thing you want to look at is not the book itself, but some of the topics of the book. And everybody knows my story of my mother-in-law and the teas. I mean, her book had nothing to do with tea. It was all about a mystery, but yet they all drank tea. So we made tea the platform for her books, and we got lots of publicity around that. So,
well, that's interesting because my publisher, which is Wheatmark, they say that if you really want to promote your book, you don't want to promote your book. You want to promote something that will cause people to come back to your book.
Yes, exactly. Because people get tired of hearing you say, I have a book. I got a new book. I've launched.
Aimee talks about that all the time. About that. What is that, Aimee?
Social media. Yes, Aimee. What do you tell them?
The 80-20 thing. What do you have to say about that?
The 80-20 rule, which is you only do 20% of actually selling your services or your book, and 80% kind of drawing people in by sharing other content from that's relative to your book or quotes from your books and stuff like that to draw your audience in and into selling it.
You know, it's because of that, Aimee, that I've taken up the cause of writing about people with intellectual disabilities.
And I was going to, that was my next question for you. So good. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, the blog that I do is all about folks with intellectual disabilities and how they're mistreated and made fun of, and also those who are successful in running businesses, even though they are intellectually disabled, and all kinds of disabilities like that, you know, physical disabilities and so forth. And
so that's because you do have a disabled person as one of your characters in your book.
Yeah, Orville is disabled, and he's in every one of the books all the way through and plays an important part all the way along.
Have you always had a compassion for people with disabilities?
I grew up with a young kid on our farm in southern Minnesota. My parents, as it were, became his guardians, and he worked on the farm. His job was to do the milking and keep the milking utensils clean. And my mother looked after him, and his name was Eddie. And Eddie probably had the intellectual ability of maybe a 10-year-old, but he could do his job, and he did it well. And he was with my folks for over 40 years.
Wow. Wow.
So I really picked up on that and made that a very important part of my novels.
Russell, you had a question?
Well, yeah, I was trying to move over to both that particular subject and that avenue Al has to promote his book with the social question to Aimee, which was, Al, do you use Instagram? What do you use to promote your books? What do you use to promote your online presence now?
Every blog I post goes first to Twitter and then also on Facebook. And I'm not using Instagram right at this point. But it's Facebook and Twitter primarily.
Aimee, what do you think you should do?
Way to put me on the spot, Russell.
Well, whenever you turn your speaker off, I'm going to ask you a question.
Russell, you're not allowed on. So the main platform that you need to be on is the one that you're going to get the most traction towards. So social media is like a fashion wheel, and Facebook and Twitter are really big, and they're so popular. There's something to be on them. But right now, it's more Instagram and YouTube. They're hashtag driven and they're very visual. So they're videos and picture driven. So if you're not already,
I'm tied into LinkedIn also. LinkedIn's
going to be really good for you to connect with other authors and things like that. So that's going to be a really good platform for you. For you to kind of post images about your book and quotes and things like that, Instagram's going to be good. But if you're comfortable on the platforms that you are and you're on, and you have a pretty good following, you get some good traction on your posts and things like that, and stick where you're comfortable, but eventually you'll need to branch out onto Instagram because it's very hashtag driven. But if you're not ready to do that, don't do that. You have to be ready.
And talk to him about hashtags, because Aimee is, we told you, a millennial. So the millennials are the most socially responsible age for a long time. So they're very conscious of being socially responsible and all of that. And so and they're very hashtag driven. So with Twitter and with Instagram, if you want to reach the age that would be attracted to your blog, and from there go to your book, that might be, what do you think about that, Aimee?
Well, so to kind of backtrack a little bit, hashtags are keywords, and the keywords need to be relevant to your book, but what people are going to search. So if I'm looking for an author and I like murder mysteries, and I'm going to type in murder mysteries and authors, and then someone like Russell is going to pop up if he would be consistent using hashtags. He would pop up. And so it's the same thing with you. Like, you need to be using author. And then if you're currently writing a book, am writing is a big one. But those are keywords that people are going to use. It's going to help kind of gain traction towards you and things like that. But you have to be consistently posting and using them. If you don't do that, then your following isn't going to stay and it won't be loyal.
I can't hear most of what you're saying. You know, it's not coming across to me.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, good. So, hashtags are keywords. I'll just go through it. Hashtags are keywords that you're going to need to use. So if I'm looking for a murder mystery book, I'm going to search murder mystery, and Russell's going to pop up with that because that's the hashtag he should use, and he is using. You're going to need something like that along with author or am writing if you're currently writing a book. Those things are going to be super important to kind of help gain traction and loyal followers for your books. But hashtags in a roundabout way is keywords. So they're going to help people find you in your book. So that's why they're super important to use. That's why you hear a lot of millennials and stuff use a lot of hashtags, but they're critical in helping your books get out there market-wise. And marketing, it's a good strategy and it's easy to do. Then you can just pick the same 15 that you're using and run with.
Yeah, Weedmark, the publishers, emphasize that again and again and they do some webinars on that, you know, I've heard that ever since I started publishing with them. I've got all 3 books now. The first 2 books were republished by Weedmark because they did the 3rd one, and then I backed up and republished the first 2, and they've been emphasizing that a lot. But there's so many books. There's millions of books. And
that's why you need to listen to Aimee, because you're right, Al, there's so many books, your books just disappear.
Yeah.
And the only way in the great ocean of social media and markets and Amazon and everything else, to get any traction is consistent, unfailing, and staying with whatever the latest fashion in social media is. That's what Aimee has taught me over the last 3 months or so.
Yeah, and then, you know, on Amazon, there's a lot of breakdown of where your book gets positioned. And there's a whole business about positioning your book under a certain hashtag too, because it isn't just mystery, but it is all kinds of subcategories of mystery that are involved on Amazon. So we had to reposition the book a couple of times already.
Well, it sounds like Weedmark's doing a good job.
Where did you read it from and to?
What was that, Russell? You kind of broke up on that.
I was wondering what he repositioned from and what he went to.
Oh, well, we did an analysis with an organization called K-Lytics. And they did a study of who's reading what and when. And they suggested that it isn't just enough to position yourself under mysteries, because there's so many different things. And they then suggested that if you want to reach the kind of people that are going to be reading and interested in this book, then they suggested a subcategory, 3 subcategories. And I'm not in a position at this point to go into all of that, but we repositioned the book under some sub, in some cases, 3 subs categories.
That's awesome. That's great information. I just looked that website up. I'm going there. K-Lytics.
Yeah, K-Lytics.
Yeah.
The guy runs out of Germany.
There are so many resources out there now. But you have to kind of muddle your way through the water to get to those that are really helpful. Russell.
Al, are you satisfied? What's the name of your publisher? You sound like they're very proactive. Are you satisfied with them?
Weedmark.
So Russell, write that down because that may be a good one for you.
Yeah, they're a great bunch of people. Very, 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 very actively working to help authors market their books. And they helped me to set up a website and helped me to set up the blog as well. They're very, very helpful. Of course, you got to pay them.
Yeah, they all want to be paid, of course. That's what publishing is about, making money. Yep. Yeah. They're in the business.
Sandy, who's watching?
I was going to say that. Let me get back to Facebook because I jumped over to find K-Lytics. So, Carrie Wheeler, my nephew. Hi, Dr. Carrie. My nephew, who's a doctor in South Carolina, is watching with a thumbs up. Shauna, my niece, who's moving to Texas today. And Vola's watching. Darnell's watching. Mike Cowis. And Mike, we need to talk to you about getting on Author Talk. Michelle Sism is watching. Hi, Michelle. James Price, who is our cover designer. Excuse me. So we got quite a few people watching. So thank you all very much. So Al, thank you so much for being with us today. I think we've gone a little bit over our time.
You're very welcome.
Not unusual, but next week I'm gonna find this article. So I read an article over the weekend about Amazon. So about some authors who were very successful. I mean, like they quit everything else except Amazon to do that, in the hundreds of thousands a year. And all of a sudden, Amazon finds that they're not legitimately doing the work they're supposed to be doing or whatever. They found some things which all of these authors swear that is not true. And so now the question that this article was about was, so now is Amazon going to penalize you if you get too successful? So we're going to talk about that next Monday when our guest will be, Aimee, go ahead and talk, please.
Yeah, Aimee. I'm going to have to send Sandy back to the doctor again today.
I'm just joking.
You guys are funny. No, we do have our course tonight at 7, which is teaching you how to write a press release like a New York publishing. Wow, my mind's gone blank today. It's just that kind of day for me, you guys. It's Monday.
That's because it's Monday afternoon. So you know who the reason that we're having it in the afternoon, right?
The district attorney that didn't show up.
I'm not as sharp as
district attorneys.
So thank you all for joining us. It has been a little bit longer podcast than usual. We had a great time, and Al, very great to reconnect with you. And hopefully we'll see you tonight in the courts, and I'll introduce you.
Yeah, go walk on the beach.
That's true.
I'll look forward to it.
Okay.
I live in a retirement village about an hour away from the beach.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know it was an hour across South Padre. So
I didn't either.
You can be an hour from the beach and still be on the island.
I'm not on South Padre. I live in a place called Weslaco.
Oh,
which is halfway between Harlingen and McAllen.
Okay, so you're not on. Okay, well that was totally wrong. Then I thought your bio said you lived on South Padre. So listen, thank you all for being here. Al, thank you. I'll see you tonight. Russell, see you tonight. Aimee, see you in a little bit. So have a great week.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Al.
Okay.